Hey, what's up guys? It's Alex again, the audio director and composer of the music for Wisplight. And June has just asked me to sort of come back in again and talk a little bit about some of the new music that I've been making for Wisplight and just sort of run you through it and show you my thought process on how I've made it and stuff like that. Sorry if my voice sounds a bit strange. I've been sick. Okay, other than that, so this new song that I've been working on is called Whispers, and this one was supposed to be for the ruins, because we're gonna have different music for different parts of the game, so it sort of matches the vibe. So for example, for the forest, we'll have one ambient song or a couple to give some variety. But then for the ruins, we'll have a different one, just so you get a different vibe for each one of the places that you're wandering around. So yeah, for this one, I knew I wanted to sort of nail a feeling of desolation and loneliness. And so I really wanted it to be very atmospheric, like you listen to the music and you sort of sense what the setting would be, even if you couldn't see the setting. But if the music is too full, sort of in and of itself, if it's too distracting whilst you're walking around, that I think would actually take away from the empty feeling and the sort of desolate feeling. Having those two things sort of work alongside each other was something I was conscious of while going into the song. So the way I decided on was basically to have one string that's sort of droning throughout the entire song, a very low cello that's just holding a very low note, and that's sort of filling out the ambience. And then around that, I sort of have the freedom to arrange different instruments depending on what I want to do. One of the instruments that sort of plays a lot around the droning cello is my baklama, which is the instrument that we were talking about recently. I'm sort of using it quite extensively in the soundtrack because it has a relatively unique sound and it sort of lends itself well to this sort of feel. Outside of any sort of time signatures or anything, I'm just sort of improvising throughout the entire song. Just little licks here and there that are supposed to sound quite dark and dissonant. And you can hear a little bit of what that sounds like here. See how that sort of creates an atmosphere without being distracting too much, because they're sort of spaced out from each other. Like the baklama is not constantly playing licks and stuff, because that'd be a bit annoying after a while. The other main thing that we have here is a sort of violin sort of like sliding around. I sort of stumbled across the sound as I was putting the song together, and it's really, really creepy. So I really like the effect that it does. That sort of down, the adlock as you're sliding around on the violin neck, like you can hear it here. And I think the reason why it sounds so creepy is it sort of sounds like an uncanny valley, but an auditory uncanny valley. Because if you just hear it, it's almost like it sounds sort of weirdly humanoid. Like it sounds almost like a voice when it does that strange sliding thing. So yeah, really happy with the way that turned out. Honestly, it's mainly just that's the violin sliding around and the baklama, those two things throughout the song sort of playing off each other. Of course, if you listen very closely, you'll hear some sound effects sprinkled in, like a door creaking and crows. And I just sort of, I thought that it sounded a little bit like echoes of the past. And of course, when it's playing in game, you can't necessarily tell whether it's the ambient sounds just of the game or from the song. So it's kind of cool and interesting. And then the final part of the song, I thought it should have like something new to sort of set it apart. And I was really inspired by Skyrim during this part. Jeremy Soule, who made the soundtrack for Skyrim, he's really good at arranging choirs in a way that choirs are usually kind of relatively in your face, like hard to ignore, like you'll hear it when one comes on, but he uses them more as like ambient instruments. And so of course, I said in the last one, I really love the Skyrim soundtrack, so I wanted to do that here. So I basically recorded myself singing loads and layering it on top of each other on this really sort of like melancholy, sort of really sad chord progression. Very simple, just repeating itself a couple times in like a really high falsetto register. So it kind of sounds like a female choir if you just hear it. And that's just at the end of the song. And yeah, I'm really happy with that, how that came out. Like, I feel like it sounds really cool alongside the droning cello. And I feel like you could never tell it was me as well, which is kind of cool. I feel like it really does sound like a bunch of women. And then yeah, that's pretty much all of the parts that make up the song individually. And I guess you can hear the entire song sort of all put together now. hope you like it. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. And I'll probably share like the same process for some of the other ambient tracks I'm working on. But yeah, till next time, see ya.